I activated you.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have control over the room, so you'll have to do
Yeah.
all the
The,
clicking.
okay. Yeah, otherwise, you just need to hop in here as an logged in account. Let me quickly check on YouTube if it is already live. Should be.
All right.
If Crypto is here with us as well. We should already be live, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I see it live, so we should be good.
Nice. So let's see. We do have a couple of viewers in here. Nice, 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 nice. Let me see. Where is the chat? There it is. Good. All right. For those of you who are joining in now and are not aware about this, the first Bitaxe found the block.
Awesome. Nice job, everyone. So the censorship resistance has been achieved. This is why we want decentralization. So we have to remember the goal here is to achieve censorship resistance. And today it was just achieved by a pleb miner somewhere in the world. We don't know who, and they can remain anonymous like this. It's just awesome to a fresh address, no history, nothing. So that's where the Lotto mining gets its meaning from.
Definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, how amazing is that? Especially like Nashville is starting tomorrow. We don't know who it is. It doesn't even matter. We don't want to know. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe if he wants to be announcing it anonymously that he was the winner. I mean, why not? But other than that,
It's awesome. And so we
JC Cuban,
know
thank you.
what we know. Some people have been asking. I've seen this coming often. Is how can we make sure that it really is a Bitaxe? So obviously, there's no 100% way to make sure. But what we know is that the hash rate for as an average for one day was 500 gigahash, and on the
Mm,
7 days was about 300 gigahash. So you can expect maybe there was some downtime there. It was found on Solo CK pool, and you can see in the address the worker name has the Bitaxe worker name, right? So it doesn't
yeah.
mean, but what we know for sure is that a 500 gigahash miner with the worker name Bitaxe found a solo mining block.
Let me put that in here. That's the
Yeah.
mempool space address for the found block. There we go. Gabriel Comer. Yeah, you're so right about this. Crypto Eyes, by the way, are you in here? You seems not to say anything.
I'm here. Can you hear
Ah,
me?
lovely, lovely.
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm just lost for words. I'm daydreaming.
I mean, how
It's
amazing is
no,
it,
no,
right?
no. It just validates everything we do. I mean, all the projects, all the
Correct.
time, all the nights, all the sleeping on the sofa, all the grind from the wife, um, like going taking kids to school, like tired. And I mean, I've done countless nights with R&D, countless nights with R&D and crazy stuff. Just to bring excitement to people, to try and spread the word, to get it out there and say we can do it. It's not a joke. It's just a bunch of nerds, proud nerds that literally got together, put their heads together as professionals because we have skills. It's not. It's the power of the people. Bringing everybody's skill set together, everybody putting their hand up. I don't know about this. I don't know about that. Well, I know about this. You don't know about that. Let's learn. The journey has been some of the best I've ever experienced. I mean, I'm old enough. I'm 40 years old, and this is one of the communities that's sort of. It's just there's no words to describe it. Ups and downs, and learning. The learning curve has been parabolic, um, and I consider myself fairly successful in Web 2 life. What I've learned in the space of 12 months and being able to integrate it with other parts of knowledge from me, from like yourself, both of you, um, and we've come across how many times? Everybody. I mean, it's just so nice now to be able to walk up to so many people as a grown up, give them that smirky face and say, "We've done it. I've got
Yeah.
this. It's stamped." I mean, good luck changing it now on the blockchain. It's there for life. I could tell my grandkids, "Hey, I worked on a project that found this block." So, yeah, the emotions are
Yeah, now
high.
it's total proof. It
Yep,
works.
it works, and everything we're doing, like you both know, we've got projects coming up, building accessories for this. Um,
It's
it's
not
all
stopping. OSMU in
no.
general is not stopping.
It's just, if anything, it validates now to go deeper down the rabbit hole and make things for this, which are I'm quite utilitarian. I haven't had a chance to explain to Jonathan yet, but you know very well we're building something very utilitarian. So we want to provide the tools to the proud users
Oh wait. Solo Satoshi, hey, welcome on here.
Hey, what's
Can
going
you?
on, guys? Can you hear me?
What's
Yeah,
up?
we can hear you.
What's up, y'all?
we're good.
Crypto Eyes, you need to become a little bit more louder, go
Yeah.
near to your microphone. And Solo
How's
Satoshi,
that?
if you could mute yourself when you're not talking, would be nice. Lovely, thank you.
Just to let you all know, we're just one block away from finality. So we normally say in Bitcoin that 6 blocks is finality. We're 5 blocks away, so just one more blocks, and we can essentially say that this is set in stone for life.
This
And
is set
just
in stone.
yeah, it's already, but just to go by the book. And so we managed to have via BTC, Foundry, Luxor, and Endpool to be obligated to bow to the will and the power of the plebs and accept this block and build on top of it.
Yep,
So a big,
Nice.
in your
massive achievement.
face.
This is not gonna change. This is
No,
inevitable. This will be
only
there.
going quicker now.
Good luck forking.
And this happened while the difficulty is adjusting. We have an increase that's expected for about 12% increase. I mean, the chances of that happening is insane.
I mean, especially like guys, take a look in the chat. I just posted the mempool there. The difficulty for this block was 300T.
The
So
the
it's a
base is
multiplier of
82.
almost
The base is
20 or
82.
something of the difficulty. Oh, not 20. Wait, we are sitting at what? Uh,
82 or something.
82. So it's a
We
multiplier of 2 to
blew past
3.
it.
Yeah,
Insane.
We didn't scrape through. We blew it and like said, oh, let's keep double, triple. Like,
Even if the difficulty adjusts, it doesn't matter. This block would have gone through.
bring it.
and we have it. We are now at 6 blocks, so we can essentially say that this is for life. It's now set in stone. There's no way to come back.
This is amazing. Oh my
Do you remember
goodness.
that guy's that meme video of that kid that's sitting in front of the monitor in 2013 saying, "Oh, Bitcoin's just broken $100." This is
Yeah,
epic. This is gonna
Yeah.
be like a moment on this video, like in 10 years when we're like, "Yo, we found a block. We found our first block. This is history being written."
this is
Insane.
definitely history here. It's just an amazing moment. I mean, sure, we're now doing this live stream here talking about this, and for all of those who are joining in here later, uh, just the first Bitaxe found a block on the main chain. So this proof is in here for everybody who's not believing or is in disbelief that this device works. It's not just some random crap. And more things are coming.
Yeah,
What do
we
you?
have the prototype Bitaxe X here. So it's
Nice.
a small minimalist one, but it's working well. It's this one is on the 302, so it still doesn't have the screws in the middle, so it overheats a bit. This is why we haven't distributed this version. But the 304, we're waiting for the boards now, and we think we're going to get good yield there. So we should start distributing soon.
Nice. That's good to hear. Especially just a quick disclaimer for me. If you do have the 3 or 4s, make sure that you do screw them in very tight so that it does not overheat. Even
Yeah.
even with the 3 or 4, you need a lot of pressure on these ASICs.
Yeah, we actually, and while I'm on chat, if we have some of our previous buyers of the ice cooler tower, just want to say, like, remove those white push pins and just screw them instead. You'll get 15 degrees less. It's just insane the amount of change it does just to have those screws in. So now that's how we ship it. But for those that got
Good.
it with the push pins, those push pins they're crap. Just remove
Yeah, they're
and screw
garbage.
them instead. Instead, yeah.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people don't really get. Like some people are tinkering around with the bidex and crypto eyes. I think you can sing a song about this and
Yeah.
Oh
tinkering
yeah.
around with it.
Oh yeah.
These plastic push pins, they're stupid. I mean, for the small heatsink, for these small ones here, yeah,
They're fine.
If you
they
want,
work, they're fine,
I
but
can
they're
give you a
not good.
solution, Jonathan. I've got a video actually with a close up. It's the pins that the same. Think of the same screws on the heatsink of an S19 or something in the middle. with a spring. They're spring loaded,
Yeah.
basically spring loaded. I can't remember the name of them, but I can send you a link. That's how I mounted mine in the immersion tank because the plastic was the only thing that would get brittle eventually and break off.
Yeah, on top of it, but it leaves also some, it
It's
leaves
not
a
flush.
air gap,
It's
and
not
that's
flush.
what you
There's
want
not
to.
enough tension. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just a little bit of a time. Like I had a friend who his cat dropped it. It knocked it over.
Mhm.
I mean, no big deal. It landed on the carpet, but it was enough to jolt the heatsink on the springs as it landed. And it didn't have enough tension to come back. And he didn't notice, and he's like, "Oh, it's not hashing. It keeps overheating, not hashing." And it was just literally he sent it to me. I just flicked the heatsink, and I saw it go back to its place and it sit flush, and that was it. I turned it on and it started
Yeah.
working. So it's worked, but you need to be aware of it. I mean, put your thumb in the middle of the fan and give it a press and a wiggle, and that will normally make it sit.
Yeah,
But
and these are minor issues,
yeah,
like really minor issues. These ASIC chips, they can withstand like temperatures of almost
I
80 C.
failed.
It's not good,
I
and it
failed to blow
down
it up.
throttles.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
failed to blow him up.
yeah.
I mean, I've tried for science 10 units, and I can happily say nine are alive. One died because that was me being stupid. I stole my wife's wrong nail varnish because I had an idea with Ben that we should nail varnish the chip before we submerge it. Well, I don't know why. And I picked one that clearly had metallic parts in it because as soon as I turned it on, it just cooked the ASIC. It just exploded. So that's why we were down to nine. But from heat and pushing, I mean, I've got 1.3 terahash out of a single chip. And it ran for a day, and then I turned it off because I was doing something with the power supply, not because it had problems. And I ran out of headroom because of the components. I mean, MOSFETs ran out of power at 50 watts. I was pushing 50 watts. It wasn't efficient, no, but I was pulling 53 watts at some point with the standard components on a 201 series. Okay, it was immersed, and it was getting hot. It was at 75 C on the power supply and all this, so it was cutting out. But they can take a punishment, so people can
Oh
just
yeah, they can, especially if you do have
don't be
proper
shy to break.
cooling.
I mean, they're getting to a point where now you can experiment. Don't worry about fuffering. Fuck around to find out. Yeah, and we're doing a lot of the stuff with the solar now. So the next
Yeah,
step is
I
to
mean, as I said earlier, there are so many things coming up, and so many things are going on there. Like you with your solar project now, and sure, some people are complaining that the hex is still not out, but it is an open source community, so things are sometimes slow. And in theory, the hex is done. Just not any of these manufacturers has actually approved it. Tiny Chip Hub is currently the only seller worldwide who is selling these ones. Uh, and hopefully soon Decentral will join into this as well, so that we
Jonathan.
do have
That
another.
sounds good, man. When you get some good solid numbers, when you have a few units that are hashing well and solid, can you take a generous reading of the overall power consumption, please?
Of the what?
The power consumption. I
Oh
think it's
yeah,
only
for sure, for sure.
about 60, 65 watts, if the math are
Mine,
right.
mine is sitting like in this aluminum container, this prototype, and it is drawing 66 watts continuously.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I've got your numbers. I just wanted if Jonathan puts a few more together so we can have a better conclusive figure, because then we can look
Yeah.
at our subject and see maybe we can, if Jonathan's bringing something to market for the hex, maybe we can support it with some renewable energy. So we need to scale it up for 66 watts. It's a substantial jump from 15.
I mean, it is. Yeah. The one minor thing about the Bitaxe hex using the BM1366 chips is some people think, okay, this would actually increase the hash rate by a factor of 6, which is not quite true. Like with adding more A6, you add a little bit more complexity. And so on the average, we were able to achieve a average hash rate of like 2.7 terahash, which is good, which is way better than just purchasing the 6 bit axes. And also, like as always, this is silicon lottery, so some of these chips behave better, some of them behave worse. So
Oh, I can't, hang on. I'll give you some
you
support.
still need to move a little bit closer to your microphone. You're a little bit off.
Let me Let me adjust.
And the X is going to be such a good product for the projects you have, Crypto Ice, like the renewables and bring in. I always seen mining as a subsidy on on energy
Yeah,
sovereignty, and so I think projects like what you're working on and scaling the number of chips we can have in an open source fashion is going to be is going to be a part of some people's future in attaining the energy sovereignty, or at least backup of energy sovereignty. Even if it's just a few hundred watts, it's still a few hundred watts.
it's on the ethics that you don't have to answer to anybody for whether I want to run a mine or not. And lastly, I keep telling people when they ask me about an ROI, there is no such thing as an ROI. If you've got the capital to deploy a renewable source for a very long time, and I mean long time, it could be 10, 20 years, 25 years, a renewable design like this. Um, you don't look at it as a ROI. The point is, if you depend, it's like having food. It's like, do you need a fire extinguisher in your house because you expect your house to burn down? No, you have it there
Just keep
because
talking. I'm gonna be right back.
just in case. It's the same kind of thing. So you don't ever buy a fire extinguisher and say, well, did that cost me 20 bucks or 25? And do I want to get my money back if my house burns? Will I catch the fire quickly enough? I mean, no. Some things in life are because you need them and you need to be independent. Like, why do you have water? Some people decide to have a spring well in the back of their garden or their house or their yard because they don't want to depend on the government for power, for water, and it's not we're a prepper. It's just look what happened the other day. A genuine issue with the Swift system went down. It could be, I don't know, somebody hacking somebody's power station, whatever, and you have a solar flare takes you out, and you have 1 month no power, and you depend on Bitcoin to send your transactions. So my goal is to make tools for our Bitaxe and our mining, or a lot of other things, nodes, uh, wallets for transactions, and all sorts of things, off grid. Like the first step is to get energy. So we're trying to give everybody the opportunity to have a mini amount of energy to run these tools. We're not talking about running your house. This is specific. This is to run your Bitax, which has just been proven that can hash and mine and will find a block. So we'll make a device which will make sure this device stays online when you decide to do so. Okay. The same for the nodes. Okay. The same for your hardware wallet. So whatever needs power to do your transaction or whatever needs power. So we're starting with our miner. The next step in our decentralizing issue is comms. It's energy and comms. So at the moment we depend on centralized ISPs. Tomorrow, like here in the UK, they cut Orange, or I think it's Vodafone or someone, one of the big ISPs for mobile phones, decided they're not going to allow Stratum traffic through their uh, mobile phones. You're tethering. So suddenly a lot of remote IoTs or services that had mining facilities that might have had a small guy pleb with his SIM card with his modem or whatever now can't because the Stratum traffic is blocked. Down the line, they might say, okay, the fiber optic Alcatel could say, well, no more Stratum traffic between, I don't know, India and Africa. I don't know. They control the nodes. I've worked on projects in countries with infrastructure where, I mean, we have our local ISPs, but then this traffic is routed through underwater cables, which are managed by conglomerates of a company. They decide they block something, they block it. Like they reroute traffic when somebody blows the traffic up down in Yemen. They blew a cable up, they rerouted the traffic within an hour.
Yeah, well, I believe that's one of the reasons why when you look at those pools in China, most of them they'll be using ports that are common for instance, like common for email, or they'll use a 443, or like the common general ports to try to avoid being detected as a stratum service.
Exactly. Now, so the next step for us is we're looking like, I mean, I will put it up in a minute, but I'm working on the satellite connection. I'm looking at Blockstream. We're doing a lot of different trials at the moment to try and communicate with yourselves either in North America or around the globe for all our needs, whether it's our miner talking to the pool, whether it's our node syncing with another node, whether it's sending a transaction out, downloading the latest update from the blockchain to make sure you got the valid block for your node. Uh, Trying to get all these things either via ham radio, via satellite, via all sorts of different approaches. So yeah, we're working on utility accessories for the miners and for the Bitcoin equipment. So But I
Yeah,
think
I
it's
have to
also
go and get my radio amateur permit. This is I have to make a transaction over FM one day.
yes. I mean, my goal is I'm working with Ben as well, so um, I'll put up some shots at the moment.
Yeah, and even so, I'm back by the way, and even all other sorts of communication protocols, not even on the FM, but what about LoRaWAN and stuff like this? We
Yes,
could use so much more.
I mean it's expandable. The biggest challenge I have at the moment that I want to breach, I can now easily through repeaters, through local people, use different technologies that I can communicate within, say, the UK or Europe. The problem is I want to face the big problems first. I want to connect to Jonathan in Canada, Ben in the US, okay, across the pond. That is my biggest challenge in a reliable way. So whether I'm having to do it through satellite, which I don't control, sure, but it's another avenue. Even if all the ground stations take a shit, that thing will stay in orbit for quite a while, where I can at least utilize its transmitters for to tell Jonathan to switch to this frequency, whatever. I mean, it's a way of talking, right? Um, yeah, there's a lot of things happening. Actually, today I did my first trials and on my receiving end for this relay satellite, um, and I managed to get the beacon. Actually, I'm going to show you.
Well, whatever happened to that project? You know, I think it was called Gotina. I don't know if you've heard about it or if you played with it, but I know they had like this way to use mesh to broadcast your transactions, and you could use it like in wildlife. So it had a pretty big range.
They do.
Um,
It's like Meshtastic with LoRa, but again, it's LoRa. You come down to closer stuff. So LoRa has, if you got high grounds and good relay stations, you could do something like 20, 30 miles, something like that. But then you'd need someone else in that area to mesh you further down. And what happens is when you hit the rural areas, it becomes impossible. I mean, you get so
yeah, that's
far
the
because
thing.
you've got your friends, and then after that, there's a blank spot. Um, so I'm trying to bridge that. So have technologies which will be relay. I mean, you're running a node. Next to it, plug in your LoRa Meshtastic, for example, plus this, plus that. And then you have a
Yeah.
cluster as a relay, which has you sends the message via mesh because you're down the road, but I'm the main hub out because I'm ham radioing every 5 minutes out to the node, whatever.
Yeah,
It's a
kind
I
of like
mean,
the Lightning networks is, right? We
yeah,
have
yeah,
different
yeah,
hubs,
yeah,
and then it all
something
interconnects.
like that. Yeah, then we need to find a way
all
to
of
the other guy,
this all
something
of
like that.
this comes down to increasing the privacy, especially like regulations and stuff like this trying to ban us from using it. Fuck you, we're going to use our Bitaxe and mining solar blocks and
That's it.
stuff like this, and we transmit it over satellite or whatever exists. We don't care, we just do what we want. And I quickly want to go over this comment from YouTube here. 300 div and 100 million shares. I'm confused, unfortunately not my blog. I'm sad that it's not your block, but yeah. So this miner, this Bitaxe, who actually found the block, had a difficulty of 300T, which is just insane how difficult it is to find it. The current difficulty is sitting at 86T or something like this, and he approximately submitted 140 million shares. So therefore, he was not mining that long. He was actually just firing this thing up. And if you do take a look on CK Pool stats and put it in his mining address, you can literally find out that during the night and during this day today, he wasn't actually not mining. And 1 hour before he found this block, so he was just plugging it in, mining for 1 hour, and then he found a block. So it's pure luck. This is the definition of luck. And this is what Bitcoin mining is about. Because I need to say this, and I will ever repeat myself. Bitcoin mining is not a complicated thing. It's pure luck. It's rolling the dice. If you find the lucky number, you find the lucky number. If you don't, you don't. That's it. There's nothing from complex computational work. Forget this bullshit. That's not Bitcoin.
Yeah, so mining
So,
is just brute forcing essentially.
yeah. I quickly need to egg my celebration cake here.
Damn, I don't have one. The cake is a lie, man.
Oh yeah, but yeah, it's just so good. It's just so awesome to actually see this, that we have achieved this, and this is especially for OSMU, so for the Open Source Miners United community. This is this type of achievement that we need to prove ourselves, because we know it worked, but we never had the actual proof on the main chain. And now we can actually verify it, put it everywhere where we want, and just say, look, it works. Here's the proof.
Yeah, and anybody needing a further proof, you can just run your own node, run your own instance of public pool there, point it to the testnet, and find the testnet block. It's the same with just less difficulty, so you'll be able to get your own very solid proof on your own node, running your own code, all open source, all made in the last year only. So the speed at which things have been happening in the last year, I can only imagine next year now that we have such a big news like this.
Especially these days, it's super simple. A couple of people regarding of talking about privacy or if a node software is good or not. Me personally, I do hate most of the node software, Umbra, Citadel, whatever, you name it, all of them. I don't like them because, in my opinion, they're too bloated with other stuff that I don't want to use. But that's just my personal techie opinion. But what you could do is, if you do run your node at home and you have, for example, Umbra or Citadel, just go to the App Store and download public pool and run it at home. And as soon as you find a block, it will be distributed over the Tor network, which will be a little bit slower. But this is the most ideal and most private way of actually distributing a new Bitcoin block. And by the way, I opened this GitHub pull request for Raspberry Blitz. I don't like to use Raspberry Pis for such a work, but hopefully soon public pool will also be on Raspberry Blitz. Currently it's only on Citadel and Umbrel. And Start9 will also be there as soon as they release their new firmware. But this, who knows when this will happen. So yeah, the decentralized world is spreading even more and more people can get onboarded with this. You don't need to use public pool if you can run your own node. Just do it at home.
Anybody that's watching that doesn't know necessarily, so the Bitaxe, it's started about, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago by this guy named Scott. You can find him under the name Scott 9000. And over the time, a lot of plebs joined over and started to work on this. I'd say it started to really commercially distribute around a year ago. So all the progress that's been happening in that only year. So for instance, us at Decentral, we started to look into the Bitaxe because Scott was reverse engineering some of the stuff that was very useful for us for our ASIC repairs. And so this is the thing that brought it to us, that brought our attention on the Bitaxe. And to us, it was mainly to learn and gain knowledge. And as time progressed, we started to see this other angle of solo mining, pleb mining. And just in that time that we commercialized this, there was a few other people that joined. So we had obviously just a bit before or in the same time we had Bitronix, which also had the Nerd Miner, which was a great learning tool as well and still is. People still buy it even to this day. It's super affordable. It has a super nice UI. So now there are projects like the Nerd Axe, which is essentially a combination of the two. So this is what happens when things are open source: is it just gets to anybody that has an ID can just take what's there and just republish into their own new ID. And so we now have the Nerd Axe, which is a nice Bitaxe with the nice little Nerd Miner screen. And we have things like the Zero Axe that are coming, which has 16 ASIC chips, Flex Axe, Pi Axe, which is a app you can run on top of your Raspberry Pi. So there are so many things. I'm sure I'm forgetting half of them, and probably some that I don't even know that are on the way. There's also one clue, you're working on your nano miner. I can't recall the exact name there.
Bitforge Nano.
There you go.
The Nano. That's a project I'm working with someone from the community who's really well educated in designing PCBs. I could never have done this on my own, but he's working with me together on that, and he's doing all the hardware part. I'm doing all the software changes there, and it's gonna call Bitforge Nano, which is just a small device. Wait, I can actually show it to you. One second.
Please do. Yeah.
So I do have the enclosure. Wait, I need to stop the camera from movement. 1 second.
And the idea is to run it on XOS, I believe.
Yeah. Wait, let me change the camera. Let me lock it into place. 1 second.
I might
And that's
actually.
one more thing. So XOS is open source firmware, and now there is work that's being laid for bringing XOS even on these large commercial miners, these industrial miners. So imagine having your actual open source firmware, because Brains used to be open source, but they changed.
Yeah.
And now, so Brains is a nice firmware, but imagine the progress it would have made if it was open source. What I think is, Bitaxe is the proof once more that just in a year, when you have all those plebs coming together, all those people working in the basement, all those dads like Crypto Ice that are pouring all their energy, all the remaining energy into projects like Bitax and AxOS. And so just imagine what we'll be able to do with even Ant miners in the future. Me personally, I'm eagerly waiting, and I'll do my best to help with that project, because what I can see is, for space heaters, I think there's a big, big, big opportunity to recycle old hardware that's not useful from an industrial manner anymore, and to recycle them into Bitcoin mining heaters. And when you think of it, I mean, heating is the second largest energy expense in the world, so it's a big market.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is. Especially, it's good that you mentioned brains here, because I do have the enclosure for the Bitforge Nano, which happens to be it's the exact same sizing as the DTV node that will hit the market very soon. So this here basically is just a piece of hardware that you can then use as a Bitcoin node or whatever. And this will hit the market very, very soon. And Brains released on the BTC Prague their 1 terahash home mining device, and they were advertising it as the go-to thingy. And my friend Cleo and I, we were so upset about it, because what we figured out in less than 2 hours, this device is calling back home. So it's calling to the Brains servers, asking there for a license or verifying the license. And only if this verified license calls back to your mining device, then your mining device actually starts mining, which is stupid. So you rely on this manufacturer. If they go bankrupt, if they shut down their servers, you can't use it, which is stupid. So we were so enraged about it that we actually just created our own version of it. And as I said, this here is the enclosure, just a lot of space for the heating. There will be no screen, because I think screens are stupid in some ways. People are mostly confused about it, especially with the Bitaxe. It's not bad, but some people don't get it. And let me open up the browser tab here so that you can see it. I do have a screenshot of it, how it will look. This will go into this enclosure, and this will be a 1.2, 1.3 terahash mining device, which will be, by the way, cheaper than what Brains is selling their 1 terahash shit unit for. And it will be open source, all of it. Just saying.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And congratulations also, we can see in the chat, Douglas, that managed to make his own manufacture through PCBWay, and now has his Bitax Ultra. Solo mining is achieved 4,000 shares there. So congratulations on going the
Nice.
full way and the full journey by yourself, and getting your own Bitax made in your hands.
This is great. This is what we need. People actually getting into it and tinkering around. I mean, I do have this series on YouTube called Bitaxe 101, where I do go about all the basics around the Bitaxe, or even changing or adapting things on the PCB yourself and then ordering it yourself. It's quite an intriguing task, and it takes a lot of effort and time. If you have neither of those, you shouldn't try it. Just go out there to Decentral or any other manufacturer or seller and just get them. Solo Satoshi as well. You're not on Nashville tomorrow, sadly, but Solo Satoshi is an example. They are on Nashville, and they're walking around with the backpack full of Bitaxe devices and selling them as cheap as possible, which is
They'll be
lovely.
selling out for sure.
I hope so. I hope so. Fingers crossed for you, Solo Satoshi.
I'm sure you won't have trouble there.
Yeah, I bet so. I bet so. I mean, yeah, again, it's just this community is what we need. And it's literally really good that we now found this block, and that we now do have this confirmation about that it actually works. Because usually what happens during the summertime, people are going on vacation and stuff like this. It gets a little bit boring around the community. And that's what was happening the last couple of weeks. But now we do have these awesome news. And Like every couple of weeks, something is hitting the market, and
The
this is so
FOMO is
huge.
real, man. Real.
Yeah, Douglas is also writing in the chat that he is working on his own Bitaxe Hex model that he ordered from PCBWay, and attempting to actually load up the firmware on it. Awesome. Just keep doing it. Keep doing it. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
Alrighty, let's see. By the way, I was just checking in. We're not, by the way, not streaming to X. Seems like we're not on premium on X.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Not too bad.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
I'll not pay for X. I'll not pay for that.
Oh, well, we do, but yeah, it doesn't matter if the stream didn't go there. I think the X crowd is already very excited and very aware
Yeah.
that this block has been found. I keep on getting those notifications, keep on pouring in right now.
Great.
So yeah, definitely the community is excited over there. A shame we don't have them with us in the stream.
How awesome would this to actually speak to the person who found the block? Like, I'd love to hear his or her scream all day long.
Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, I do hope they'll remain anon and keep this for themselves. I think it's
Yeah.
the better route for them.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, just if you even whenever you win the lottery, I don't think necessarily people always have those big expectations that great things is going to happen, and you should do this and do that, and like just keep it for yourself and live a happy life. And you might want to you might want to spend a bit. It's money at the end of the day. Do whatever you would do with money.
Yeah, and don't think in fiat terms.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. That's the way. But even with your investments, if you have the fiat mindset and you have the short, term mindset, you're gonna get burnt. It's always about being able to look on the long term.
It was just a matter of time. I mean, you're selling them all day long. Solar Satoshi is selling them, and many other sellers are also selling them all day long. So it was just a matter of time until we hit the first block with a Bitaxe device. And now that this happened, it's just amazing. More will come, definitely.
Now the race is on.
Now the
Next
race
block.
is
How
on.
much time?
How much time? Sure.
So it took a year. This one.
I hope the next one will not be on CK Pool. I'm not trying to be mean or something like that, but I'm just saying you could have saved yourself 2% fees. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, props to CK Pool Dav. This dude is a freaking legend when we're speaking about Bitcoin and Bitcoin development. This dude is a legend, and he deserves every cent that he gets from his pool. I'm just saying, maybe try it the next time with a different setup, public pool or your own instance at home, something like that.
So what do we have right now on public pool? We have about 1.3 petahash is there. So I mean, there's definitely a chance if we keep on growing this and we keep on getting that same growth we've been going through the last year. It's only a matter of time before public pool finds a block also. And so remember, when you're buying a Bitaxe, you're not necessarily having yourself a big chance of finding a block, but definitely you're contributing to that collective power. We're all going forward together. It's a small sacrifice of 10 to 15 watts, and you will permit decentralization, which we've already been having with the Bitaxe. But the reason, I always repeat that because a lot of people forget what's the reason we want decentralization, and the reason is for censorship resistance. And censorship resistance is only achieved when plebs find blocks.
Nothing to add to that. That's totally true.
So yeah, this is why we're all pumped about this. This is why we're very excited about that block being found. Is not just a proof for Bitaxe, it's also a testament to the pleb miners, to plebs being able to participate even when it looks very meaningless. All together, plebs are able to secure the hash rate, decentralize the hash rate, and achieve censorship resistance.
Let's see. Do most Bitaxe sold come from public pool as by default? The one I bought did. Can understand why this miner was on CK pool. So yeah, the firmware XOS, how we call it, it does have some default settings, and the default setting is public pool in most instances. But each manufacturer could change it to their pool or whatever. Usually, what people do is they just fire it up, set up their mining address, their Wi-Fi address, and everything, and then just set it to the pool whatever you want. You can mine to Brains, to Ocean, to the solo pool from Decentral, to public pool, to any pool you like. CK pool, all of them work. The only thing that don't work, I believe, is nice hash, but this has something to do with the integration of how they implement Stratum V1. It's a little bit different, I think, because they do have these cycles of moving around the hash rate, which is not possible with their Bitaxe currently. We could implement it, we just don't want to. I say, if somebody in the audience wants to do it and does have the knowledge, feel free to do so and create a pull request. I'm not into running my Bitaxe device on NiceHash. I don't need to do that. I tried mining on Ocean for a while with my hexes, with my prototypes. So yeah, in the end, you can do whatever you want with this device, and that's the beauty about it. You can change all of it, and we have accessories. Currently, only one, which is the Bit Halo, which is an LED ring for the Bitaxe, which
That's
represents
awesome.
like a lighting effect as soon as you hit or as soon as you submit the share. And if you would hit a block, it would instantly or continuously flash, which is also nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, things are just getting better and better.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it's also another testament of the pertinence of every shares, every hash that's being submitted by the Bitaxe is the fact that you can go on those pools and they'll pay for your share, right? They're essentially buyers of shares, and the fact that they're buying your shares is because every share is equal to another. Even the losing shares, they still have that chance of being the right answer, and so
Yeah.
just this is the proof by itself that Bitaxe is pertinent and is actually producing, it's producing value. Just right there is a proof.
Yeah, I do see plenty of people who are arguing about like, especially if you do take a look on XOS, you can take a look on the logs and see exactly what the miner is doing.
Yeah.
On the one hand, it's really good to have this functionality because now we can actually identify maybe issues or something like this. On the other hand, that we gave this tool to the people, now they get confused. What is this device doing? Why is it showing this? It's a little bit of a double-sided sword there, because yeah, people get confused about if they see too much nerdy stuff, what we do here.
Well,
So
what I would invite people to do, we have tools like the LLMs now. They're getting better and better, so you can just use any LLM, and I'm sure Llama, the last version, would work as well. And you can just like copy paste your whole logs, drop them into an LLM, and it will start to interpret like every line, and you can have it explain it to you. So like I think it's one of the plus value of the Bitaxe to have all those logs. When I look at Antminer, I don't get the understanding. I don't get what's going on in behind, and so I think it's one of the reasons why I've been saying since forever. We founded in 2016 at Decentral, and there was the Bitcoin community and the mining community, and it's only in the last year that I've seen the two coming together. And I think one of the reasons for this divide is obviously the fact that energy, there's the energy price that's going to dictate a lot if you're a miner or not. But there's also the fact that it's so abstract, right? And so when you're a miner, you don't need to understand Bitcoin. And using your Bitaxe, it gets you closer to Bitcoin, right? You have your node conception, you have the block template conception, you have the mining logs conception, you see the get work and all that stuff that's gonna allow you to interface and fully understand like the impact of your every moves with your devices. And so this is not your something you understand when you have industrial miners.
I mean, one of the greatest thing about all this Bitaxe session and Bitaxe stuff that we do have, and wait, I need to repronounce this. It's not only the Bitaxe, it's everything that we do in OSMU. It's not only tied specifically to the Bitaxe. We do have the Bitaxe, and sure, we do have different models and different version numbers. People get confused about this really, really often because It is what it is. The higher the number, the better. That's basically it. But speaking
Yeah,
about it, OSMU does have so much more. We have, like, as you said, you're trying to make it happen with the 0xx, which got created by a lovely member of the OSMU community, as well as the Pi eggs, as the Q eggs, so many more things. The Bitfortunano that I'm now creating, there, just this one is specifically to fuck up brains, but nevertheless, so there are many different options that you do have. You don't need to stick to Bitaxe. Just buy yourself, or build, that's even better, yourself a fully open source miner and feel the freedom of mining what you want. I mean, even if you're into shit tokens, whatever, you're not trying to mine Bitcoin, mine some of these other shit tokens, whatever.
sure. Why
I
not?
don't care.
Yeah, well, some people they'll get some understanding through those altcoins and eventually turn to Bitcoin. So I mean,
Hopefully.
whatever way, well, it's for them. At the end of the day, it's not for us; it's for them. So I hope so. But yeah, eventually, I think every roads lead to Bitcoin. And so for those that want to build their own Bitaxe, we also have a simple way to build your own Bitaxe. We have do-it-yourself kits. We go through the trouble of sourcing all the components from the different suppliers, and you just solder on. We now have even little pamphlet that will explain like what's every part doing as you install them on the Bitaxe. So it's made to be a bit more interactive and understanding. Okay, this part is responsible for temperature, and this part is responsible for that. And so you can head over Decentral and look for our Bitaxe, the do-it-yourself kit, or just go the other way, which obviously will have a margin less, and you can just source everything yourself. Everything is on GitHub. Definitely encourage you to go and have a look at the GitHub. Just GitHub Bitaxe on DuckDuckGo or any search platform.
Yeah, and if you do feel any trouble trying to solve issues, just check out my channel. I do have so many videos about all these issues and soldering and stuff like this. It's a little bit tricky to get into it, but as long as you do have a little bit expertise of how to use your hands, you can make this work and make this happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you did that with a few do-it-yourself kits. So some you did with ours, some you did with some other suppliers as well. So you have different perspectives of different builds and different ways to source the components. And so that's also very interesting to maybe have a look at the different um, results of doing so.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I've seen so many boards from so many different people, because I do also repairs for Bitaxe, and to be honest, I don't really recommend it, because repairing a Bitaxe is time-wise way too expensive compared to just buy
Yeah,
yourself a new one. It's a good exercise if you want to do it yourself. Like, I know it could be boring watching long tutorials of myself trying to fix some stuff, but in the end, if you can use this knowledge to fix your Bitaxe on your own instead of spending hundreds of bucks of repairment costs there, I definitely recommend to do so.
sure.
I sometimes even feel sorry for these guys who are using my service for repairment, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah,
If it's
if
gonna
they
die,
demand
it's meant
it,
to die. It's meant to die. I mean, if the Bitaxe died whilst you're using it, for no reason, it was meant to. I mean, that's it. Either fix it yourself, or I wouldn't spend money outside to fix it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
true. That's my personal opinion. I just do have the knowledge, and I tend to offer it. That's just it. It's a
no,
market
something could be
thingy.
precious. I mean, everybody to their own. I mean, I'm talking
Yeah,
about the average Joe. Some people could be a gift from someone. I mean, I gave a wedding gift to a friend, and then the cat messed it up, and he asked me to fix it. Like, of course. I mean, that was a friend's gift, so
yeah, sure.
it's
That's
a
something
difference. I
else.
mean, you need to have that service available. I mean, um, that's it.
one thing to note also is, there are different suppliers, and of course you can go through AliExpress and have those builds that are not even sharing their modifications, and you might look at the price tag and say, oh well, it's cheaper, but if you have an issue with your device, are you going to be able to get some support, or are you going to get a replacement unit? When you're buying, for instance, from Decentral, we offer a 3-month warranty on all our cells. So at least if there's, and it happens, sometimes we have some faulty power supplies or a faulty fan. It happens, we test everything, but sometimes it can slip in. And so having a supplier that will have your back when things aren't as expected is definitely like it might be a few 10 or 15.
Having a known face to the
Yeah,
product that you purchase is also a good thing. I
yeah,
mean, sure, you could ask this crazy YouTuber called one clue for a little bit help. Sure, that's one thing, but why not go to the dude where you bought it from? And funny
yeah.
thing that you mentioned it, I had once a customer who came along and was just asking, like, he had one of these knockoffs from AliExpress, and he showed it
Mhm.
to me and was like, it's no longer working. And I asked him, what did you do? And it's like, I literally just updated from their firmware to
Wow.
XOS, and it's no longer working. I said, yeah, well, that's the burden of ordering something of these fucking copycats.
Yeah, yeah. That aren't sharing a thing, right? And they're just trying to.
And it doesn't stop there. Take a look. I mean, I'm sorry. I do have here a ASIC chip
Oh
tester,
yeah,
and guess what? It's a knockoff of the knockoff.
yeah.
It's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, well, not to, but it's known that Chinese company do that kind of stuff, right? So they do it even with proprietary things, which is funny because I remember seeing a comment of someone saying just, well, that's what happens when you open source your stuff. Well, no, that's what happens when
They're
with things.
successful.
Yeah, when they exist, like there's gonna be a Chinese copycat of it for sure.
They copy you when they know you've succeeded and they want a piece of the pie.
Yeah,
It's a measure of success. The more copycats you
yeah,
get from the original, I mean, it's like there's so much more interest. It's not
yeah.
because there's no interest and everybody's building them. I mean, come on. Sure, it's not a nice thing to happen, but it's like your measure of success in an indirect way. You just have to keep innovating
Yeah,
and stay
and
ahead of
better
them.
better for it to be open source because what it means is eventually, and you can see it, there's more suppliers now, so like the demand is being spread, and so it's less of a stress on just one supplier. Prices can adjust, the chains, they free up, things optimize, and so that's it's going to be fast tracked when it's open source than when it's obviously behind closed door and people try to keep it for themselves. So this is why plebs are winning, and plebs will keep on winning, and they have a guarantee of that with projects like the Bitaxe, because just the fact that it's being so transparent and so open source, it allows anybody to that might have some better way or more efficiency in producing it to just do it, and
Yeah.
and essentially, you know, uh,
Maybe I'm a bit more old school. My way, I was introduced more to the keywords of open source in the last couple of years, but more old school, I used to be the guy of I want to have the right to repair. Okay, so it's well, a little bit. Maybe we're older. That's our older way of saying open source. So
By the way,
yeah,
um, I'm not
and
trying to
so
interrupt you here, but speaking about all of this open source, this especially me joining OSMU and getting into all of that, and now being a developer on Bitaxe devices and creating my own ones. There's always this drive for me, especially for open source. I think like there's no benefit for anybody if I just know it on my own and don't share it. And let me quickly put this in the chat. I'll put the OSMU wiki page, which is a wiki page that I'm maintaining as well. All the information about Bitaxe and everything as well. And this specific link will bring you to the About page. And if you're interested in it, I wrote my master thesis about the Bitaxe project, which you can also read there. So yeah, if you're interested in checking out benchmarking ASIC chips and stuff like this, that's the topic of my master thesis. Just wanted to say this out here because I think sharing this knowledge is what's needed. And sure, you could start your own company and go into producing Bitaxes in your own country and selling them there. I even thought myself of doing this over here in Germany, but I quickly realized it doesn't make sense. It's way too expensive, but this is some sort of a political issue over here in Germany or something else. I don't know.
you
It's
guys
just
just
way too
sell
expensive.
stuff. It's easier for you to just sell your stash.
Yeah,
Your ready
yeah.
stash.
But I'm not going into that route. I love to develop and do it in other things, and I'm now creating so many partnerships with other distributors so that I can use them for selling these devices, and I can truly dive into developing more units, which is way better from my personal perspective.
yeah, so that's what's nice also about open source is that every angle is helpful, and so doing documentation, doing obviously the electrical engineering there, doing the marketing even, so there's like Bitaxe became a thing because all those elements all came together, and now we have a well greased wheel that's that's moving. And so anybody that has any way to contribute is definitely welcome in our community, and every help helps.
Everything, even if just you have a change for the wiki because have a typo or my English is not the yellow from the egg, then just change it, please do it, because it's needed. Everything contributes to the greater good, and that's what we're trying here to achieve, and that's why this finding a blog with a BitX is just such a huge announcement for this open source ethos that we're trying to drive here. And as soon as we have the first bit eggs with this open source ASIC chip from Block, the whole world will be another one as well. This will also be another announcement. But this right here today is definitely history. Because literally, this is the world first open source Bitcoin miner who hit a block,
Yeah.
despite having a closed source ASIC chip. But that's another topic.
And it's all made with just one ASIC per device, distributed everywhere in the world amongst plebs. It's insane, 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 insane moment for Bitcoin mining. It's historic, definitely. So I can't wait to see how it will be picked up. It's because to me it's really some major news. It's like more relevant even than some of those industrial miners announcing a new rig.
IPO or
To me,
some shit.
it's
Yeah.
yeah. So I can't wait to see all those Bitcoin medias. Definitely, anybody in the community, anybody that's watching, listening right now, I invite you to go and harass those people. Let them know that plebs have found a block and that censorship resistance has been made today. Let's make sure that the world can hear us.
It's needed.
It's not just made
It's
behind closed doors anymore.
No, it's not, and that's especially what I'm trying to drive forward here with this whole OSMU community. Like we're trying to make as much as possible open and understandable for everybody. Like we do have so many intelligent people, and I can name all of them, like Johnny, Scott, Nebula Miner, Ben, yourself, all these people, and countless more. Most of them are so intelligent and doing so great stuff for this open source community. And I mean, you guessed it, nerds are nerds, and some of them are not really into explaining stuff like this, so everybody fits his own role. And I'm just trying to be here and educating people on this topic, and apparently it seems to work. People are trying to understand it, or they're getting it, and it's lovely. That's what we need.
Yeah, you've got a great channel built on educating people about the Bitaxe right there. So I mean, it's the proof by itself that there's a demand for this type of device, demand to understand this type of knowledge, and it's so niche and so hard to find. And you've been able to put yourself as one of those lighthouse, and people are going to be able to follow your advice and get involved because of that. So definitely, thank you for your involvement there. And thanks for everybody that's contributing and watching and making this become an actual
Everybody's worth it.
yeah.
There we go.
So for my side, I guess I'll get back to doing some more job related stuff, the boring stuff. But well,
The
actually,
fiat
I
stuff,
say it's
yeah.
the boring stuff, but it's not really boring. We when you enjoy your work and you enjoy what you do, and that's what we do actually. So I say that by an habit, but it's actually not the boring stuff. We actually enjoy every day, and the Wednesdays for me is always a very big day. So it's almost only beginning for me. I'll do a
Great,
lot more.
great. All right, yeah. I mean, I'm not really sure if there's anything else to say. Just then, congratulations to this anonymous miner, and I really hope that he will hodl. That's
Yeah,
my hope,
for sure,
because
for sure.
I do like straight into cold storage.
Yeah, yeah, but and what I always say is, savings are like we don't have to go too hardcore with Bitcoin with the hodling mentality. Sometimes remember that savings, what it's for, and sometimes like we only have one life. Do remember to live a bit. So right, you have to build those savings, but also like just having a chair might be a bit too hardcore. And for those who don't understand the reference, you can look into Pierre Rochard, which always makes fun and say that, like, if you have a chair, you're you're living too comfortably, you don't have enough Bitcoin. So it's fun, and for the memes definitely, but remember to live a bit too. So adult, but think of the present too, because life goes on so fast.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, we're already talking 1 hour in here.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. It is just amazing, and I'm still just being a little shy, being happy here and celebrating that somebody found a blog. Yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
No, it's
I can finally go to bed really, really happy. All right. I
definitely.
mean, yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was just about to say that probably we'll close the session very soon. And I really appreciate everybody joining in here. I mean, do you have anything else to say?
Well, not from my side. I think everything that has been everything that we could say has been said, or at least for now. Probably we'll just end the chat, and then a million other things will come to mind. But yeah, I
I'm
mean,
back.
we're just super excited. We're very, like, I can't wait to see the community, like the broader community response to this. This is one of the things that I'm eager to see. But I know that our community is fired up. I'm sure that a lot of Bitaxers might become double Bitaxers if they aren't already, and some people might want to double their chance there, because definitely Bitax is an ideal solo miner, but it's also being said that it's a Loto miner, just because of the fact that you can actually, you can, with chance, you can find a block. And so there's one of those plebs somewhere in the world that had this chance, and that uh, chance
You're really
strike.
lucky, yeah.
Yeah. And now Loto mining makes a lot of sense to this pleb.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
This probably has changed his life. I hope so.
Yeah, and I think it, like, in our community, will change some perception. But really, what I'm eager to see is the broader community, how they will
1 second.
get that news.
Yep. No, you're right, man. It's going to be a
Mm,
monumental change for a lot of people.
I think
Even the
so.
way they think about it, not just
Yeah.
even the way we even our attitude towards how we speak to others. With we'll be a bit more arrogant now and be like, well, fucking, we found one. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
just hypothetical
Yeah.
discussions. I mean, a physical unit has found one solo, not a pool of 1,000 miners, not a proxy, not a whatever, a single one chip, one chip.
So we should all tag everybody that's being a naysayer to the Bitax. Like, everybody, you remember having a fight on Twitter in the past, just go and tag them. Be
Somebody went into
super.
the somebody went into the home miners Telegram channel. I just noticed, and put a middle finger post, and then when Bitax found the block
That's
underneath.
well,
So
that's it. That's
yeah, yeah,
the pleb fuck you block.
yeah.
That's it.
Mempool address and a middle finger as a message.
It's perfect.
Glorious, man.
Glorious.
Glorious. Yes.
Well, we actually released a press release, so I hope that some journalists might stumble upon it. And what we called it is historic moment for Bitcoin mining. The fuck you pleb block mined by a 165 Bitax miner, a $165 Bitax miner.
Perfect.
So that's the title, and it's being broadcast now. And so we'll see if it picks steams
Yeah.
from any journalist or something.
Share it. Put the link in here. We'll send
Yeah,
it
yeah,
and
for sure.
share it. Yeah, why not? Give it some
Uh,
traction.
Yes, sir. I was just quickly on daddy duties.
I'll drop it for one clue if he wants to share it then in
Yeah.
the chat.
But before I post it, just for the people that are tuning in here or that are watching this here, just check out discord.gg/osmu. This is our community,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
this is how you can get into it. Discord.gg/osmu. Okay, let me post your press release and let me get it in here as well.
I'm
Einpresswire.com.
putting it on
Aha.
Twitter, dude. Okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna put some fingers. I think this deserves some
Nice.
fingers.
Put some fingers. Yes. Be mean. I mean, We definitely need it. We need to spread it. Like
Yeah.
this is especially this is so thankful, and I'm so thankful for this, to have this, to see this, to now be able to raise the middle finger to all these naysayers, as you said previously, like, oh, you're never gonna find a blog. Yeah, you know what?
You
Doesn't
found
matter
one.
if I get demonetized or anything else. Fuck you.
That's it.
It doesn't matter. Literally, this whole bit age stuff never meant to be to make you or get you rich. This is not a scheme to get you rich or anything else. This is educational purposes, and building upon of this is what's getting into daily profits and stuff like this. As I said, with things that I'm working on in the background, like I'm working on a 45 to 50 terahash unit in the background, which will hopefully be released by the end of this year, and as well as this mini miner, this Bitforge Nano that I just talked about. It's getting better and better. And
Yeah.
small units are definitely for solo mining and getting into education and stuff like this. But if you're talking about money, I mean, everybody has a personal opinion, and this is no financial advice. What a disclaimer here, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, if you want to look into larger miners and you want to be able to look into return over investment at home, I definitely say if you have a eat reuse purpose, then definitely consider, because as I said, eat is the second largest energy expenditure in the world. So I
Hmm.
mean, it's a huge market to fill, and it's a huge demand to fill. There's a huge demand for heat there, and there's a lot of industrial miners that are decreasing drastically in value as difficulty increases and as new generations come in. And so a big way to recycle all those ASICs and to turn what would be essentially an expense into revenue. I know it's not the same reality everywhere, so I'm not sure it would be as applicable in Germany, but definitely for Canadians, this is a reality, and they'll like last year S9s as a space eater would make a return over invest in just one winter. So now all the other winters you're plugging in, that S9 will just make free sats. So it's there are ways when plebs are creative, and I think the plebs have more flexibility to being creative than those industrial setups. And so those industrial miners, they're only able to keep pace because they keep on raising funds and diluting their shareholders every time. I think plebs are actually much more efficient than those industrial miners.
Great. Okay, so now I need to hop off. If you guys are interested, check out discord.gg/OSMU,
Yeah.
and I'll join in the voice chat a little bit later, but I need to hop on to daddy duties. So thanks for tuning in here, guys. Thank you all who are on here with me, talking with me, chatting here. It was lovely with you. Yeah, thanks for
Catch you
being
all
here.
soon
Catch you
on the
guys all
next one.
soon. Yeah.
All the best, guys.
All right.
Thanks
Bye
for
bye.
having
Okay.
us up,
Bye.
y'all. Sorry we didn't speak. Thank you.
That's right.
Thanks for being with us.
All the love to you, So Satoshi, to
I'll
you
see you
both.
guys in the channel.
Enjoy your day and your conference.
All right.
Thanks, brother. Bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.